I once had an income that changed my entire life, and then it disappeared. But here's the strange part. By the time it disappeared, I didn't need it anymore. And that may be the single most important financial lesson I learned before retiring at age 32 back in February of 2010. Because when I started trying to change my financial life, I had no assets, no inheritance, no pile of money waiting for me. I had to earn money. So I built an online income. At first, it wasn't impressive. It covered gas, then groceries, then more of my expenses. Eventually, it became enough money to dramatically change my life. And this is where I made a decision that looking back mattered more than how much money I was earning. I didn't treat the income as the finish line. I treated it as something temporary. Because here's the problem with income. The moment the income stops, so does everything it was paying for. A paycheck can stop, a business can fail, an industry can change, a company can disappear. And that's exactly what eventually happened to me. The company connected to that income changed its business model, and the income I had spent years building, it went away. Now imagine if I had spent all of it, bigger lifestyle, bigger payments, more expensive stuff, more obligations. I would have built a life that required an income that no longer existed. Instead, while the money was coming in, I was converting it into something else, ownership. I bought my first house with cash. Then I eventually bought rental properties. And over time, something fascinating happened. The income that I had worked for became less important because the things I owned began producing income themselves. And that's the transition I think most people miss. We're taught to ask, how do I make more money? I think there's a better question. What can I turn this money into before it disappears? Because your income is not necessarily your wealth. Income is a flow. Wealth is what remains after the flow stops. That distinction completely changed the way that I looked at money. When I earned more, my first instinct wasn't, what can I afford now? It became, what can I own now that might reduce how much I have to work later? That's a very different game. And eventually I owned enough and needed little enough that working became optional. That's how I retired from the job world at age 32. Not because I discovered some magic investment, not because somebody handed me money, and not because my income became infinitely large. I did something much simpler. I used temporary income to build permanent leverage. And years later, I got the ultimate test of whether that idea actually worked. The original income disappeared. My freedom did not. That is the part I want you to remember. Your salary is temporary. Your clients can be temporary. Your business can be temporary. Even a great income can be temporary. So while it's coming in, build something that can outlive it. If you want to follow somebody who actually lived this transition and is willing to show you exactly what he learned along the way, subscribe. Because this channel isn't really about getting rich. It's about reaching the point where losing an income doesn't mean losing your life. And once you understand that, money starts looking very differently.